Alright, now the goal is to let Kiri swing through just... Hello and welcome to the Florida Men Gaming. My name is Furion and today we're going to be playing Magic the Gathering Arena. But before we get started, I'd like to ask that you please like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, let us know how you think we're doing and if there's anything you'd like to see. And if you're over there on Rumble, go ahead and hit that Rumble button. For today's deck, we're playing a Naya Runes deck that I have called Rune Terror. This particular deck has been tearing up the ladder, and if you run into it, you know how fast it can snowball and how terrifying that could be. We're playing off of a very key synergy here, which is the Runeforge Champion and the Jukai Naturalist. So what happens here, Runeforge Champion enters the battlefield for 2 and a white, and when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library and or graveyard for a rune card. You reveal it, put it into your hand, and if you search your library this way, you shuffle. You may pay 1 rather than pay the mana cost for the rune spells you cost with this card. Exciting, right? I would think so. Runes are enchantments, they give various different effects. But what we fail to remember, or maybe we already knew, the Jukai Naturalist makes enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. 1 colorless reduced and a 1 colorless cost means you can dump an entire library of rune cards onto the battlefield for 0 mana. So if you faced off against this deck, you know that it spirals, and the thing about each rune that you play, each rune, when you play it, you draw a card. So these cards continually refill your hand, and if they strike other runes, you keep going and going and going until eventually your board spirals so far out of control that the opponent just ends up scooping. To help combo this off, we're pairing these cards and that synergy with 4 copies of the Hallowed Haunting. 2 and 2 white mana. As long as you control 7 or more enchantments, creatures you control have flying and vigilance. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, create a white spirit cleric creature token with this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of spirits you control. So how does that synergize? Well, the Jukai Naturalist is an enchantment creature. The Generous Visitor is a spirit, and the Kami of Transience, which we're running 2 copies of, is also a spirit. So these 2 cards give a health bump to the spirits that come into the battlefield. And the rest of this, most of it is enchantments in some form or another. The only non-enchantment cards we're running, Commune with the Spirits, 3 copies to find more enchantments and lands. The Runeforge Champion is a Dwarf Warrior, doesn't fall into either of those categories, and Showdown of the Skalds is right on the edge, as this one is an enchantment, will trigger, but will disappear off the battlefield after its 3rd Saga tick, which can then reduce the amount of enchantments you need to keep Hallowed Haunting creatures in the air. We're running 1 copy of Touch the Spirit Realm. Have debated adding more or other versions of just creature removal. But so far, this deck doesn't really seem to thrive in a tempo setting. It seems to thrive more in a go as fast as you can to get as much of your combo down and then intimidate the opponent off the board. So with that, we're excited to see you in the gameplay. This deck has performed remarkably well, and if you've played against it, you know how it is. Running 23 lands, let's go ahead and take a quick look at the deck breakdown. 13 creatures, 25 enchantments, and 23 lands with 3 sorceries. So, we will see you in the first match. We have an opponent. And a very keepable hand. Being on the play with no 1-drop, we're going to go with the Sundown Pass first. Play it in tap so we can get that Jukai Naturalist down immediately. Opponent could be going the same route. This is a very popular deck at the moment in the meta. A white lead-in could mean any number of things these days. And if only we had another white mana. There's the other white mana. We're going to go ahead and hold, be a little more conservative here, and see if we can't start building a super combo. Alrighty. Opponent with black mana now, showing Orzhov colors. Another draw. Go ahead and take it. It's taking him an awful long time to do anything. Have 4 enchantments on the board. Opponent draws a introduction to Annihilation. That is not good news for us. But that's okay. We've got everything we need to be incredibly successful here. And we have game 1 in the books. Orzhov, taking too many turns to do nothing, has fallen victim to the runes deck. Alright, we have our next opponent. And we have every mana we might need. Opponent does go first. That makes this hand very slow for us. We're going to go ahead and risk it. The Runeforge Champion alone is a very solid card. And if we can draw a Jukai Naturalist in these next few turns, then it all becomes worth it. Going to lead with the white and give ourselves the best chance to get to that. Opponent showing black, meaning this could be a very bad day for us. Go ahead and play out the Generous Visitor. Tip them off to what we're doing, see if we can't draw out some of their removal. Looks like we're getting that removal. Let's see if they go with the -1/-1, or if this is a ramp up to a Lolth. Nope, they don't want to see that Visitor on the battlefield. And a wedding announcement comes down. To be expected. Runeforge Champion to the battlefield. Let's go ahead and get a Rune of Sustenance into our hand. Hopefully we draw that next white mana so that we can then start beefing this field up with some Hallowed Haunting Spirits. Opponent up to 4 mana on board. Another Deadly Dispute. Not sure what the opponent is sitting on or waiting on here. There's the white mana we needed, so there's the Hallowed Haunting. Gonna go ahead and do what we can to clear the board of some of their token threats, which will get beefed up and become nasty over time. And they now flash the white, so this is Orzhov. Took them a while to get it. Lolth comes down. That is a scary threat, especially with the pump that's about to come from that wedding announcement. And another land. That is good for us. Let's go ahead and Showdown first, see what we see. Oh, that is all good for us. And we are now in very good shape. We're going to go ahead and hold. We can take a little bit of damage now that we have the lifelink. Let's see if we draw out some of their removal. We also have the other Runeforge Champion sitting on deck. Kaya Geist Hunter. Okay. Not sure what else they're going to use to create tokens here. It's kind of an interesting... Oh, there it is, a wedding announcement. So they're going to get double tokens. And we're going to let that through. This is going to be a big hit. They're not going to be able to stop all the damage, and the damage they just did to us will no longer be an issue. I'm just now realizing the opponent minus their Kaya a moment ago, and then proceeded to attack the two creatures, which means that their wedding announcement didn't actually proc for tokens, it procced for card draw. Looks like they're going to try and remove one of the spirits. Little do they know we have... Oh, that actually did set us back in a big way here. It's going to require a big rebuild to get the board back to what we need. Fortunately, with 2 Hallowed Hauntings on board, it gives us plenty of fuel. Losing the Runeforge Champion, though, is a sad state. But we picked up another. Well, now it's time to combo out. We're going to continue to pull runes and hope to draw into one of our speed runes. And in the meantime, we're going to put everything in the air here in just a moment. And we missed it, so if they have Blood on the Snow, we just blew our entire game opportunity here. There's Blood on the Snow, so that did not work for us. And the board state is effectively reset. We are now down 2 Runeforge Champions, 3 of them actually, so we only have 1 more in the deck. That is a good draw. Hallowed Haunting followed by a Rune of Speed means that we're going to get very scary very quickly here on this next turn. Opponent's going to have to make some decisions and probably attack in. Or go for another board wipe. What the opponent doesn't know is we're sitting on another Michiko's Reign of Truth. And by another, I mean the only copy we're sitting on. We're going to go ahead and let it through. The Michikos should be able to pump up our Kami of Transience to the point of victory here. Do we have enough white to cast it if we cast the Hallowed Haunting? With the Eiganjo we do. But they're going to take the Kami away. Or do they take... oh, they take the Skalds. Does that mean we lose the Exile Zone cards? No, we still get to play those. So... it's not great for us, but it's still survivable. And they've got the entire Super Friends squad on the battlefield. 4/5 Vampire, that is not the most exciting thing for us to see. There's another land. We're going to go ahead and play that land. And drop in the Hallowed Haunting. Drop in the Michikos. And we're going to swing all into face. I believe this will be game, as they cannot stop enough of this, even with their little bit of life gain. No mana untapped, and there they go, ladies and gentlemen. We had to rebuild that board state 3 times, but we finally got there. We have our next opponent. And a very keepable hand. We're going to go ahead and take this. Opponent not playing a 1-drop. We'll go ahead and forego our 1-drop as well. Could be another tokens deck. Getting a lot of our commune with the spirits out of the way here. Let's go ahead and get the Kami down. And we'll go ahead and get one of the communes going. Don't have the land for the Showdown just yet, so let's go ahead and... you know what though? That'll be worth it, because that could give us everything we need if we draw the land. So we're going to go ahead and grab that. Double white means Hallowed Haunting is available. I would assume this is Orzhov tokens, but I can't be too certain. I have a feeling we're about to see the Rite of Oblivion. Nope, Vanishing Verse. There's another good land. Oh, that is a beautiful draw. Double Jukai Naturalist means that we're going to have a really good series of turns here. There's a Sorin. there's another land. So now the Jukai Naturalists are both going to come down. We're going to go ahead and swing into face. We have a big lifelinker and 2 bodies bigger than anything that they can actually kill. So if anything, they're going to have to chump. Alright, they're going to sacrifice the token. Hallowed Haunting on the next turn is going to come down super cheap, assuming they don't wipe the board here. They get a Deadly Dispute and a Wedding Announcement. That gives them a better chance here. But not a great chance. As now we can start the never-ending cycle of runes, assuming we draw more runes. Rune of Sustenance, just what we're looking for. Haven't played a land yet, so we'll go ahead and do that. See if we can't get a green rune. Get a little bit of trample going. We don't get the green rune, but we'll get the Michiko's Reign of Truth. That'll be a good card. Let's go ahead and give some lifelink to our generous visitor. Oh, and now we're over the top. That's it, folks. We're not even going to bother torturing them any longer. We're just going to swing for victory. Vanishing Burst doesn't even matter anymore. Well, actually, it kind of does based on the math. No, I lied. I can't math. Oh, no, it took enchantments off the board. I missed that. Okay, that did matter a lot, actually. Do they have a board wipe, though? 6 mana available. Not big. No, they're out. They didn't have it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the 3rd Orzhov deck we have conquered with this. I don't know if the first one was tokens, as they didn't really do anything for the entirety of their play pattern. But we managed to pull it out. Alright, we have our next opponent. This is a very keepable hand. We're going to go ahead and hold on to that, drop down our generous visitor on 1, and then start building it up with the Rune of Speed, hoping that we draw into the lands. The nice thing about the runes is they do act as card draw spells for us. So let's go ahead and get down on red. And a Hallowed Haunting. That is what you want to see, with double white in hand available to power it up. And 2 Showdown of the Skalds as well. This is going to be a good series of turns for us. And they're electing to kill. Oh, they are Reanimator. That is good to know. It's going to be a potential minute here before they can reanimate, so we might have a slight window. Oh, that window is going to get shorter and shorter, though. We're going to take a risk. if we can start pumping spirits out at a high rate of speed, we will be able to outpace a Toxrill. They elected to go Velomachus. That is potentially a bad choice, but we'll see what they draw. They draw another Cathartic Pyre. They're going to knock out the Generous Visitor. Not the call I would have made in their position, but I'm not them. Did that in the wrong order, that's for sure. Alright, they have mulched. They're going to get another big hit in. Looks like they whiffed on spells. That's good for us. The damage they're doing is not, though. And that is also not good for us, as that has now taken our ability to win way down. Opponent's going to have this in 2 swings, and that's if they don't do something monstrous here in just a moment. Turn upon the tide, there's Toxrill, there's the game. Alright, our next opponent is up. Waiting on the client to load in here. There we go. We have a look at our first couple of cards. That is playable. We'll go ahead and take it. On our first turn, we'll go ahead and drop the Cragcrown and Commune. See if we can't get that Runeforge down. Opponent leading with green. Gonna need some white mana here. Branchloft will do that. Gonna save the Michiko's Reign of Truth for a turn or 2 out when we have some effects going. Opponent is looking like Selesnya humans, maybe even Naya humans. They're gonna get a big hit in here before we have a chance to do anything. Kadoma of the West Tree. So now they're going to start really pumping land out. That's going to be bad for us. This is a possible hand where they're just going to run us over with our lack of speed. We chose a very slow hand, and that could be our undoing. They're going to come downhill very hard. And another Aspirant. This is going to get big and scary very quickly. 8 damage coming downhill. We're not going to do anything to stop it. That land is critical, though. Alright, with these 2 on board, we're going to go ahead and drop the Reign of Truth. That will give us a big pump to the champion and allow us to swing in and recoup some of this health we've lost. And we drew another land. That'll be a big deal in future turns. I've got a feeling we've lost this game. I don't know that we're gonna actually get anything from that swing. 16 health. I'm not great at math here, but I'm looking at 10, 11, 12 damage, and that's assuming they don't drop their own Rain of Truth or anything that could give them additional pump effect. They are sitting on a metric ton of mana, so they can do just about anything they want to at this point. There's the Hydra, and that's gonna be it. That's all they wrote, folks. Alright, we have an opponent, the Daybreaker. This is a great starter hand to get a Naturalist down, except for the tapped mana. To quote Jay Villain, who is a content creator, you don't typically like to play hands with mana that can come in tapped ever. He tends to lean more towards pathways than the card sets that came out in the more recent Vow and Hunt sets. Opponent found their land. Looks like we're facing a Dragon's deck. Gonna take a risky play here and put down another Naturalist, but this will either backfire or pay off big, depending on if they start killing things. Opponent not yet at the point where they can boast. One more mana for that for them. Probably will have to use the Showdown of the Skalds this next turn. Interesting. So they're setting themselves up for a boast. Alright, we're going to let this one go. We have some white mana available on the next turn. We'll be able to get down double Hallowed Haunting and start pumping up these Naturalists. Does the opponent boast the dragon into play? They go Goldspan. Opponent still can't boast on the Dragonkin Berserker just yet, so we're going to let it through. As they're tapped out, it'll give us a chance to swing in and recoup a little bit of health, but they could be sitting on spells, and the spells will be a problem. Pretty sure it requires 5 mana, and they only had 4, but, you know, this game can math. Alright, we're going to go ahead and recoup some of that health. Assuming they don't have a board wipe, we are now in a very scary position that they don't even fully realize that they're going to have to deal with. 2 more Hallowed Hauntings in hand, another Jukai Naturalist if they take out one of them. Are they going to hold? 1 more white mana and this spirals. They're going... oh, no, they're holding. They're holding back a little bit. Can we get enough enchantments down to go over the top? Oof. The answer's pretty much going to be no at this point. Alright, chances are we're going to lose our big naturalist, which will be an impact on... they're not going all in, and that's good for us because we trample on through and we regain 8 health. But do they have... they don't have the mana to cast the spells that are in their hands, so they're not going to be able to get the Prismari command off on us. Oh, but they're going to return a number of our pieces to hand, and that's not going to be good. That is dirty. I didn't think about the fact that those tokens are 0 mana, so they don't count towards your 6 mana cap on a Kairi. I fully expect them to swing all in with the Berserker. Nope, they're letting it be. Well, we're not going to have much opportunity, but if we draw a rune, we could still come back into this game. Another Kairi hits the board. And there's a rune. Okay, now we can start really going off with our enchantment combination. Alright, now the goal is to let Kiri swing through just fine and chump block with our giant spirit set. If they don't have a way to sack, we're okay. We drop another Galazeth and they're gonna have to legend roll their other one. Treasure token on the board. This game state might still be salvageable. And a Flame Skull. We're at a standstill until one of them makes a move. That's what we needed. And they're gone. We spiraled just like we needed to, and we intimidated them off the board. Alright, we have a new opponent. Alright, I like what this hand wanted to do, and we just got a mirror of it, so unfortunately we took a bad hand and picked up a worse one. And we go first. No creatures, and we have plenty of them to draw from, but the game has decided to give us none. Go ahead and keep 6. Bin one of the Runes of Might, as we can always go fetch it with our Runeforge Champion if we ever see him. And we'll lead with white. This game is not going to go in a good direction if we don't start drawing into creatures. Opponent showing Golgari, potentially more mana depth to come, we'll find out. Shambling Ghast on board, and they now have red, forgetting which color pair that is when it's a trio. It is good to see the Runeforge Champion, so now that gives us some options. Let's go ahead and we will grab our red rune. Rune of Speed. We can just at the very least equip out the Runeforge Champion. If we are lucky enough to drop in another white mana and get the Hallowed Haunting down, we'll wait a turn. That is a good pickup. Nice thing about this particular card is we're going to draw for everything that we're putting down. Let's go ahead and take the next draw. See if we can't piece together a white mana. We're going to go ahead and hold. Don't want to make ourselves susceptible to the Shambling Ghasts -1/-1. We can Showdown or Hallowed Haunting next turn. I think we're gonna Hallowed Haunting. And at this point we're not all that afraid of 2 damage. We don't want to put ourselves in range of any potential spells they might be sitting on. Another Hallowed Haunting, that is a big deal. Let's go ahead and start building the board. And to touch the Spirit Realm, that is good. Okay, so we're going to go recap some of that health they took. They'll probably -1 the Spirit, or just let it through. Hey, I'm cool with that too. Doesn't look like the Reanimator nonsense we were watching earlier, even though the colors are the same, and they're now up to 4 colors. I wonder if this is going to bring out the Kami War. They now have enough for it if they have 1 more mana. I think it's a 6 mana and a Wooburg. Or 1 mana and a Wooburg. Oni Cult Anvil. Okay, so they're a sack deck. And another Circuit Mender. Oh, and now we are going to spiral. If we get any runes here, this is going to start to become a coup. Don't get any runes. But we're still over the top of them. Do they have enough gas in their own tank to hold on 1 more turn? That's going to be the question. They've got a very full grip. They're going all in. We're not worried about our life total at this moment, so we're not going to risk them taking any foolery. We have enough gas back in our hand to rebuild after whatever they might have. Do they knock out the Naturalist? If they do, it'll put our cards back on the ground. Farewell. Oh man. That we were not prepared for. But in a way we were. Go ahead and take their artifact critter. Gonna have to sack it. Alright, we're back to where we were health-wise. We have been severely hampered by their farewell. If they have another one, it's going to make this a very difficult game. Bright side is, though, we have plenty of mana to get down that Hallowed Haunting and another Runeforge Champion. It is a bummer to lose that Jukai Naturalist. Another Oni Cult Anvil coming down. Running out of runes, and runes are our primary form of gas, so if they have another farewell or another meat hook, this is probably going to go badly for us. Guessing the opponent's deciding whether or not they want to sacrifice their critter. Looks like they've elected not. Ingenious Smith. Dragon Spark coming down. It's gonna pump the Smith. Interesting that they're electing to sacrifice that now. Well, I guess not. That'll be helpful. Something else to pump. And it will help with our spirit count once we get the Hallowed Haunting going. Now, do we draw something other than a land? Another Rune of Might. That is a big deal. Rune of Sustenance, we're continuing to run on gas. This might be a mistake not swinging all in, but we have to do what we can. There could be another farewell. It's just a very hard call to make. If we get one more turn, then we put this game away, but I don't know if we're going to get that one more turn. Opponent doesn't quite have the mana to drop a big meat hook. They could Dragon Spark the Generous Visitor, except they don't have the mana for that either unless they drew one that they didn't play, or if they drew one just now. There's the mana. Do they knock out the Runeforge Champion? That would be another way that they could have a really serious coup here. Okay, that is a play, but now they're tapped out. Showdown's going to come down. We're going to get one more chance here to really put the pressure on them. Do I have enough for both? I think I do. We're going to gas up this Kami like it's our business. And everybody into the pool. They may have enough to survive the turn. That's going to be part of the problem. They've got enough to survive. The question is, do they have the answer on the other side? You gotta block with the Ingenious Smith. You have no other choice. Did they just fail the math test? No. Okay, I see what you're doing. That's clever. You're getting yourself the 1 health you need to get to the next turn. Fortunately for us, we have the Jukai Naturalist into the Hallowed Haunting Jukai. Kami Hallowed Jukai next turn if we need it. It's not going to be a speed play, but if we get a Rune of Speed, that could also close us out. Okay. They are doing everything they can to put a little bit of distance between us. Brilliant Restoration. That is devastating. Except that it isn't. We can get our creatures into the air, I believe, with... Ooh, can they make it? That's gonna be tight. It's gonna be a 9 damage hit from the dragon. They don't have the mana for the Dragon Spark. If we can get our creatures in the air with enchantments in our hand, we've got this. The opponent is making us wait. I don't know what they could do here. Oh, they can use the Oni Cult Anvil. That's holding priority. Okay. If they go airborne, the game is over. And they're airborne. We're not going to torture them, we're going for the win. And they are out. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a little bit more of a knockdown, drag-out brawl for that one, but we found it. And we're back. Man, this deck is gas. There were, as you saw, there were a few games where I just caught the bad side of either Kairi just bouncing all of our tokens and our 2-mana creatures, wiping our board completely clean essentially, and us having to crawl our way back from that. The Farewell that just wiped us out, and we managed to come back. This deck has surprising staying power and recovery power, considering a lot of these spells can run at a pretty high cost. We're running a lot of low cost, but 2 big 4 cluster or times 4 clusters of 4-mana spells, a couple of 3-mana drops, and really we're banking on having Jukai Naturalists for the cost reduction on the enchantments. End of the day, if you have some of these cards lying around from the older sets, the enchantment cards themselves are relatively cheap to craft. They are all uncommons, and by that I mean the runes. The champion is a more difficult one to come across. Showdown of the Skalds, you could find alternate fillings for this deck. I ran a different version previously with an intrepid adversary, so he could run pump on the field and give some lifelink and another target to drop runes on. Really that spot is up to you at that point. You could also replace the Skalds by filling out your Kami of Transience, your Generous Visitors, and the Rune of Speed and just going straight for it. You could also put in some Circle of Confinement, some Borrowed Times, other enchantment exile-based effects to help you combat whatever comes down on the board. Hallowed Haunting is a pretty key piece. You'll see versions of this deck running just 2. For what I'm trying to accomplish, it's essentially trying to do a green-white enchantments deck, but based on the runes and the fact that you can just dump them onto the battlefield and get your combo off sooner rather than later. With that though, this deck performed remarkably well for us. Excited for the results that it produced, and can't wait to continue to run it on the ladder. So after that, we will see you on the next video, and this is Furion from the Florida Men Gaming, signing off.